I always would joke that she was kind of like a person herself. I mean, she was just such an aware dog and had a great personality. She loves treats. An amazing family dog, grew up with all the kids, and as the babies grew, just was part of the crew. As far as Kayla, between Paul and myself, we were dating, so we took care of her together. And then when we got married, I guess that's when she was officially, we all started our family. We were pregnant pretty much on our honeymoon, so Sophia came quickly. We had already decided to get another Cavalier. So we were adding Riley to the mix. He's a Ruby Cavalier.
Yeah, we moved to a small mountain town in Arizona from downtown Chicago to have kids, and the dogs went from downtown Chicago to a very outdoor lifestyle. They would keep up with me mountain biking and hiking, and even though they're 20-pound dogs, she would go 8-9 miles on a mountain bike and just run behind or in front. She always had to run in front. Very, very healthy for the breed. She had a great life up there in the mountains.
I think it was Paul's dream to breed the dogs. Definitely. I was content making human babies, but I think Paul was more disappointed because I think he still says, like, that would have been so cool if we could have been able to breed Kayla. We wanted to have puppies. I think that's why we originally got Riley, was to have a litter. We also didn't know we were going to have children right away. So things began to change, priorities began to shift with the kids, and then also Kayla ended up having mammary gland tumors that were eventually removed later. And her age just kept advancing, and it just didn't seem safe anymore.
When we removed the mammary tumors, they also took out her uterus, so that kind of got rid of that hope of having them bred. And that's when this all started, because they removed all the mammary tumors. They left one on the lower right on accident. We had moved down to the valley and in Scottsdale, but we still like to go to the same vet in Payson, in the small mountain town that had known them for many years, and I was friends with him. When I saw that antibiotics would fix it for a little bit, and then the infection kept coming back, I took Kayla up there. We drove up, and we drew blood work, and at that time he put her on her heart medicine, and he said if we put her on a breathing machine for the surgery to remove that last mammary tumor, he said that she would not come off of the breathing machine, and she would likely not make it because of her congestive heart failure. So he recommended just to continue to give her antibiotics, and we did in January, we did again in the summer, and then right before all this happened in November was the third time in that year that we had to put her on antibiotics because she would become septic and have a fever, wouldn't get up, wouldn't eat, and it was going to kill her, basically. The tumor in her stomach was breaking. She kept breaking through the wall of the stomach, and it would get red and hot and fester, and pus would come out.
She was in pain. Like, remember, she would kind of snap, and she was never like that, but if you surprised her, you came up on her, I think she was protecting herself, but she would yelp and kind of almost snap, and it was not her normal personality. You could tell she was suffering.
I was going to be out of town from Sunday night through Wednesday, and I was afraid that when I returned she would be dead. So we tried getting a hold of the veterinarian. It was on Saturday. I was not able to reach our vet, the vet who knows her. She had been on antibiotics already for a week and not improving. So at that time we decided to give her some medication to sedate her and make her comfortable. We numbed the entire area with lidocaine, with some numbing medicine. All this I had as part of the like a home first aid kit, and really removed it very easily. She was very comfortable, didn't fight at all, was not in any pain. Kids were there cuddling her. We were able to remove the cyst, and we stitched her up. I kept her on mild pain medication that I had prescribed for me a year before, and some anti-anxiety medicine, and she was comfortable walking around. She went to the bathroom. Concern came then that I was giving her medications. We would have to crush them up and put them in meat broth, and I wasn't sure if Jody and the kids were going to be able to continue to do that while I was gone for 4 days working in the emergency room. So we made a decision at that point to try to go to a vet that was open 24/7 and try to have her boarded there so they could keep an eye on her and continue to give her the medication. So I went with our Roland, a 3-year-old. We went in there and they take the dog from you. And I said, I'm here because I feel like she needs something a little stronger for pain, and I'd like to have somebody watch her over the next 2 or 3 days while I'm gone, and board her. And they said, well, we do that. And I asked them for what their plan was. We told them absolutely everything that happened, what we used, and gave her all of her medical history. And so it was about an hour and a half, they kept Kayla in the back of the ER, would not let me see her or take her. And the only thing they did for her was call the police. And the police came and interrogated me for about 30 minutes.
With our son there.
With my 3-year-old. This whole time, she's separated from us. At the time, the police said that they were not going to press charges. And the veterinarian, Dr. Lappa, said she needed emergency care. And I said, there's no way I'm going to have her seen here. We've been waiting now 2 hours, and the only thing you've done for her is call the police. And they didn't treat her with any pain medications. They did nothing for her. When I brought the dog home, I had to go at that time to work.
Yeah, I said, I'm not comfortable with the dog at home, with the kids, with you being gone. I didn't have the full story of what had happened at the vet with Paul because he was in a hurry. He had to get to the ER. So I was packing him food to go. I was getting the kids settled. He literally passed Kayla to me. I said, I will handle it. You get to the ER to work. So I looked up the closest 24-hour vet. They did a great job. They checked her out. I explained what the situation was. Was also saying, like, what do you think? Do you need to board her? I'm so more than happy to pay for you to observe her over the night, to board her for multiple days, whatever she needs. The vet was like, no, her vitals are good. She looks good. You really need an anti-inflammatory. You need a little puppy morphine and an antibiotic. And so I'm going to write you for those 3 things. We'll give her the little shot right now, and then you should just take your dog home. And she slept in my arms all night and was comfortable and didn't leave my arms. The next morning I had to take the kids to school, so I didn't leave her. She sat in my lap. I brought her into school with me. She was with me the entire time. The only time she wasn't with me is when I was taking a bath with Roland.
I was in our back bedroom and I was walking out into the hall, and I saw through the window of the front bedroom 2 men standing out there. Excuse me. And they were looking like, they were checking the palm trees or something. And then when I looked more closely, I saw they were wearing guns, which caught my attention. And then one of them got on the phone and called, and then a pickup drove up from that, which is a cul-de-sac, and a guy got out of that and joined them. And they talked for a couple of minutes, and then one of them went up this way, I assume around the corner, and came back with, I can't remember if it was 1 or 2 women. One of them, I remember, had a uniform.
Yeah, they were dressed in uniforms.
Both of them were?
Yeah.
And they stood out, all of them stood outside for a while, and then they went toward their house.
So when I just heard like this big sound, this big crashing and loud voices, people screaming, calling. I heard police department, Dr. Gilbert in the home. I called down and I said, my name is Jody. I'm in the bathtub with my son, Roland. I got him out of the bathtub. Anxious as I was feeling, I drained the water, wrapped him up in a towel. I tried to give him a toy. And at that point, I was just thinking, how can I get clothes on and how can I get to my closet?
Yeah, you anticipate the worst when you see in a peaceful neighborhood where maybe there's a routine patrol car that you see once every 2 or 3 weeks, and all of a sudden there's a lot of activity a short distance from your home. Yeah, that's worrisome.
It was just very intimidating. There was a lot of guns, there was a lot of vests, and there was at least 3 or 4 people in my living room. There was men coming in my backyard. There was people going through all the doors in my home. The door was open, and then I saw another van pull up while I was sitting on the couch, and then a whole nother group of people came in.
It was from the Humane Society.
I thought maybe I could just stop this. Like, this was a huge misunderstanding. I said, there was one main detective there that was talking. There was 2. There was a female and there was a male. Yeah. And I said, I really don't think you need to do this. I said, I right there, because I didn't want to move my hands or move, and it was right on the table that the couch that they set me down at. I said, you can look at the piece of paper right there. I took the dog to another vet right after Paul had gone to this vet, and they released her. And all the medicine was sitting right there. And I said, she has everything she needs. She has all the medication she needs. The vet said that she had had good vitals, and she's just healing. I said, I don't understand what you're doing. And so they had presented me with a piece of paper that was, I don't know if it was a search warrant, but it had their, I guess why they were there. They were, I guess, over those next moments, it became clear that they were looking into this as animal cruelty.
They drove a panel truck that was called a
Crime
Crime
scene
scene
investigation,
investigation.
and it pulled up and it parked right in front of the house.
our house.
Yeah.
There. And then one of the ladies that was in uniform went back between the houses.
They ripped her out of my arms. They put her in the back of the Humane Society in the cage.
And pretty soon she came out carrying something and then wrapped it up very.
So after they took her, we didn't know that she was going to be, she was put into a kennel and remained there for the next, it took us 18 days to get her back, and quite a lot of legal fees. Even for us to get a court date, they took her saying that she was property, and she was part of the investigation, and that they were able to confiscate property as evidence. So they confiscated Kayla as a piece of property.
That was written
and
on
as
the
evidence.
form. There was still Paul's medical bag that was left out on the table. So when they left me with a phone number to call, something with the court. Like I said, I've never been in the court system, so it was all brand new. I knew I had a phone number. I was just trying to ask the detectives, like, I don't understand, like, what am I supposed to do? And they just kept saying, like, you can call this number, and that would be your next step. It was like a empty clue. I kind of felt like I was going through it alone, but you were working, and I was trying to really explain to Paul. I said, this is more than the dog. The way that the detectives were looking for you, the way that they were talking about you, the aggressiveness that they had towards the situation, the aggressiveness that I felt from the court system, from the judge, everyone that I was speaking to. I said, this is serious. And I just was like, I remember counseling Paul multiple times on the phone. And then it took a little while, but then we got to the point of like, well, who and how and what does this look like? And I think we even talked with your mom and your stepdad, Rich, and Rich even said, you need a criminal defense attorney. This is something you need to take seriously. With Paul's medical license, we had no idea where Kayla was. We had no idea what the police were thinking.
When I drove home from school, Mom was wearing her big glasses, and like she just started crying while she was driving us home. She was really quiet. And she said that Kayla has been taken away.
The affidavit was by Dr. Lapp at Blue Pearl Veterinarian Clinic. That's what prompted the ability for the police to get the search warrant. In his affidavit, he states that the dog needed immediate medical attention, and I was depriving the dog of medical attention. Though for an hour and a half we sat there and waited while he did nothing except call the police. He also says I was practicing veterinary medicine without a license. So that prompted me to kind of look up that law, because that I wasn't sure about. But if you look at the Arizona statute constituting the practice of veterinary medicine, there has to be a transaction. So there has to be payment for the treatment, or you have to advertise that you are performing veterinarian procedures. This was my own dog. I was not paying or getting paid for any of this. And I was acting in my dog's best interest. I'm not trying to torture the dog. I saved the dog's life. The dog is still alive and is alive because we did this. The third thing he mentioned, that I did the procedure without any anesthesia. But then he lists all the medications that I gave her, one of which is lidocaine, which would numb the entire area. Another one's a pain medication. Another one's an anti-anxiety medication. The other medications that are listed are for her heart failure that she's been on and needs to continue to be on. So I don't know how he can say without anesthesia when he lists types of anesthesia right there. He also said the dog was dying. He did not know that we took the dog to a second vet, which we have the records of. It was McCormick VCA vet, where she was medically cleared, determined to be stable, gave her some pain medications, and we were told and actually insisted that we take her home, though we wanted her to stay overnight. So that's what started all of this. Him lying on the affidavit and getting the search warrant based on that affidavit. So here's the search warrant that they came in, and it describes them breaking into our house, knocking on the door, and lists all the things that they took.
We didn't get her back until we received a phone call from the lawyer.
The state and Maricopa County agreed to give us our dog back, though we had to sign on a number of conditions. And those conditions were that we would drop that motion to controvert so that we could no longer pursue that what they did was illegal. I also had to agree to not do any procedures to the dog. We had to agree to 1 month random checks of the dog that they've never been over to check on the dog. Basically, we had to agree to all these things to get our dog back.
In that moment, Department of Child Services was sitting at my dining room table interrogating both of us. They had already been to my children's school.
When I went to school one day, I got interviewed, and they took me, and I just sat down in a chair, and I had no idea what was going on. And then when I asked them what's going on, they told me that they did it to the whole school. They said that everybody in the whole school got it.
And they were asking us like these weird questions, and they lied to us saying like, I asked them why am I here, and they were just like, oh, we do this to every family.
I'm like, oh, they're checking in. But my mom told me later on that it wasn't the whole school. So not only did they lie, but they followed a script that was not about pet abuse. It was about like they were abusing me, my parents, which was 100% not true and ridiculous actually.
I was really nervous because they were like recording us. There were like 2 polices in the corners of the room, and I just didn't know what was going on.
It was just like these 3 guys up against a door, blocking the door, believe it or not, recording me. And then I asked, why are you recording me? They were just like, so that we can get any information.
And then after the child, DCS, Department of Child Safety, took our kids out of school, interviewed them, came and searched the house, and deemed that it was a safe place for kids, the dog was allowed to be free. And we went and picked her up.
While she was interrogating us, we got a call from the lawyer, and he gave us the address of where she was and said, I said, well, what do I need to do? And I guess I didn't need to do anything, that I just needed to know where she was and to show my driver's license and I could pick her up. And that's what we did. But that day was just a horrible day in my life.
Teachers were asking questions, why is she here? Because teachers know I'm a good student. And they also know my family because my mom is a volleyball coach there. And they know that, oh, she's nice. My dad goes to all of my volleyball games. They know who my parents are. And my mom, she doesn't know who knows. She doesn't know if the whole school knows. She doesn't know if the principal knows. And it hurt her because she's making friends. She's introduced into that school. She plans on taking me there until I end high school. And she wants to be like friends with all the moms there.
Actually, I got the text message that I was being charged with the 3 charges, 3 types of animal cruelty under 3 different statutes. If you add them all up and they were stacked, it'd be 1.5 years of jail time. I received a picture of that summons from my wife as I'm walking in to intubate a potentially COVID positive patient. Quite a distraction. All this is quite a distraction from my ability to see patients, do work in the ER, and be on the front lines. And for something so erroneous and something so outlandish to be in the forefront of my mind as I'm trying to save this person's life, just tipped me over the edge, I think. The stress level tipped the scales. 20 years I've been practicing emergency medicine. I come from a very medical family. My dad's a doctor, my mom's a nurse. My great-grandparents were pharmacists. My sisters are therapists. So 20 years, let's say I work 1,500 hours a year. See in between 1 and 2 patients a year. 1 and 2 patients an hour. That's 40,000 patients during my career. I've removed, I'm sure, over 1,000 abscesses and infections from people way more complex than this. No lawsuits, no board complaints. If I'm going to actually go down over this, something is wrong with our society. After this, immaculate 20 years of healthcare and providing services to the community in turn files charges, is trying to put me in jail.
I knew right away that, me personally, I didn't do anything wrong. The whole time it just very much felt like an attack and preposterous, and I didn't understand why the reaction. Absolutely, there was no motive of wanting to do harm to Kayla or preventing treatment. We were actually trying to get her more treatment. And the proof is right here. We got more days with her. She would have died if we just let things go. And I got involved, and we're still able to enjoy her. It's going on 6-7 months now. The energy that I felt from the city court when I tried to get a hearing, when they saw animal cruelty, they wouldn't take my number. Someone even closed the window on me and that's animal cruelty and just snapped it shut. Where I felt just like a serial killer. I had to wait and get a manager from behind the window I was pleading with her, this has been a gross misunderstanding, a horrible misunderstanding. I just needed someone to talk to because my dog was old and I didn't want her to die in a cage without me. I had to keep going to work. I had to keep going to the emergency room. Really, what tipped us for us wanting to tell our story was when they pressed charges, 3 different charges for animal cruelty. That's when it became public. I'm going to have to explain those charges on every single hospital application from now on. And I wanted to make sure that people had the entire story. They look up on my background, animal cruelty. Even if it's dropped, it's there from now on. So I felt it was important that everybody hear all of it. When I think back to that time, there's sadness, there's anger. I cannot believe what they were able to do to our family. I can't stress enough the trauma that they put us all through, and I can't get that time back. I coached both my daughters in volleyball, and it was a huge disruption to me as a coach, to me feeling secure and safe in my life and my family and my career. Every day was as if someone was holding my breath. Something I learned through this was veterinarians
can decide not to treat a dog. I didn't know that. So when the vet decided not to treat Kayla, even when we brought her in an emergency situation, he can refuse care. As an ER physician, we cannot refuse care if there's an emergent condition. So I was taken aback by the fact that they were not forced to treat her. I still think it's wrong for them to hold her. They held her for an hour and a half without giving her back. I think many people may have opinions as to, what I should have done or what should have been done for Kayla. But really, when it's all done and said, it should be the family that decides what's best for the family members, for Kayla. It should be our decision. It shouldn't be the vet's decision or the Humane Society's decision. It shouldn't be the police's decision. These kind of decisions should be made by loved ones and by the family, and that's part of the type of country we live in and I deal with on a day-to-day basis in the emergency room. I ask family members, what do you want done for your family? And I expected the same type of treatment.
I'm proud that he didn't just give up and just wait, because he was pushing through it, trying to get our dog back.
I think this has been a reminder that life is precious, and you have to enjoy every day. You don't know when a loved one may die, and you really have to enjoy it as much as you can for as many days as you're given. I say that often in the emergency room to people, but it's also true for my own family members. It's also true for my dog. Every day that we get with her is a blessing, so we're going to hold on to each one and enjoy each one.
There's no one here, Kayla. We're in an empty studio.
Putting your socks on Kayla. She's been at this for about half an hour. You trying to put your socks on Kayla?
Kayla, are you bored? You bored? Is this the camera? Here. Here. Hi, Uncle Jason. Good girl.
Where's the salami? Riley, it's on her back. It's right there. Riley, get it. It's on her back. Riley, the salami's on her back. It's right here. Riley. Riley. Riley, it's on her back. Come here, Kayla. Come here. Come here, Kayla. Come here. Kayla, come here. Come here. Come here, Kayla. Come here. It's on your back. Kayla, Riley, get it. It's on her back. Oh, it fell. It fell. You got it.